Hello guys and welcome to volokinproject. It's Tony here, your favorite YouTuber. Today I'm gonna do a quick review of the OnePlus Nord N100. Now this is the cheapest device on the market from the OnePlus brand, and as you might expect, it's not very good unfortunately, because of the Nord branding, and I'm gonna tell you why. Pretty much last year OnePlus decided to take a bunch of Oppo phones, rebrand them to OnePlus, flash Oxygen OS, and market them as the OnePlus Nord N10 and the N100. I wasn't very keen on the idea, to be honest with you, simply because as a long-term, OnePlus fan over here, I know one thing for sure: with the OnePlus devices you always get a flagship SoC and you always get Oxygen OS flagship performance pretty much, and always the cameras are not very good. Now with the OnePlus Nord N100 over here, they did just the opposite, guys, which is not good, especially not for OnePlus fanboys, because the performance is just not there. But first, let's start off with the design. At the first impression that I had from the unboxing video that I've done, I said that the phone is quite nice, but after using it for some time I can see some little marks over here around the frame and around the shiny, it's a matte back cover, but anyways, I can see some marks simply because everything is made of plastic. But I had a bunch of other phones made of plastic and none of them were showing marks, guys, which is something to consider. Also, the phone is quite tall. It's pretty much the tallest of the bunch of phones, cheap devices that I have, and when I put a case on it, it becomes a little bit too much. And the phone is thick as well, and it's thick for a good reason, because of the battery inside. 5000 milliamp hours, but unfortunately we've got 18-watt charge, which means 35% for half an hour, 63% 1 hour, and full charge 2 hours and 15 minutes, which is a little bit too much. But on the positive side, the battery life is absolutely crazy on this phone, guys. If you're light on it, this is a 3-day phone, or if you're heavy like me, 1 day gives you 10 hours of screen on time every single time, between 9 and 10 hours of screen on time, which is absolutely crazy, guys. But that comes to an expense. The processor inside this phone is the Snapdragon 460, guys, and if the processor is a Snapdragon starting with 4, you've got a problem. That's pretty much a smartwatch SoC inside, and couple that with 4 GB of RAM, we've got a problem. I don't usually talk about RAM because it's not that important nowadays, but unfortunately in the case of this phone, it's not only the RAM, it's the Oxygen OS, which does some background optimizations. And although I've put, for example, Gmail to the whitelist, I'm never getting my emails on time, guys. I'm getting them when I wake up the screen pretty much, and there is absolutely nothing you can do for stopping that. So pretty much the phone is extremely conservative in terms of background processes. And the RAM management, well, there is no RAM management. Absolutely nothing runs into the RAM, guys, which means pretty much no multitasking. Now, day-to-day usage is fine generally. The other thing is that you've got 90 Hz screen, which makes things, how can I put it, when you're into the launcher, everything moves very quickly and very well optimized. But as soon as you open up an application, it's very quick opening up the application and then installs. And sometimes it doesn't register touches properly. Sometimes you have to press 2 times on the screen. And the thing is that combine that with the loading times because of the, no RAM management pretty much, you can't really feel this 90 Hz, guys. That's like putting a, sports exhaust on a 50 horsepower car. It doesn't make any sense pretty much. And that's exactly the case with this phone. The gaming is fine. I'm getting good results on CashGR 50 something FPS. The gaming is fine unless you play Call of Duty. You're gonna be playing on the lowest settings, guys. On the lowest graphical settings, it runs fine. You can definitely win some rounds. You can see that on the screenshots right now that I won some, but because I'm professional. But the thing is that even on medium, the phone lags like crazy, simply because, again, Snapdragon 4 series over here, guys. So that's completely the opposite of the OnePlus idea. You just don't get the flagship experience over here. So I would say for a heavy user, that's gonna get annoying really fast. So in that terms of performance, it should be a light user, pretty much your dad, your mom, your kids, something like that. But day-to-day basis for you, no. The other thing is that we've got the punch hole over here. It's not that bad because the screen is quite big. It's 6.5 inch, but it's just 720p, guys. Now, in terms of the resolution and the sharpness itself, the screen is alright unless you play YouTube videos. You feel like every single video is played on 480p. I mean, it's just bad. It just looks bad, guys. One thing I forgot to mention is that the rear-mounted fingerprint reader is absolutely useless. First of all, it's too high, and second of all, it doesn't really unlock the screen. Check this out, guys. Nope, not recognized. There we go. And on the good side is that the actual face unlock is already better, so at least that's the saving grace over here. Now on the audio department, we've got a 3.5mm jack, which is pretty much average. You've got 3 equalizer settings, but they don't make much of a difference, to be honest with you. Everything sounds average. And if you want to use the additional DAC, the HTC dongle, it's not fully utilized by the SoC, so you're not getting the full experience of the the Oppo dongle. Now in terms of speakers, I've got good news. You've got stereo speakers over here. The sound is quite loud. It's not the best quality, but for the price range, you've got a very good dual stereo speaker, so that's very good news over here. I don't have a problem with that. Coming back to the Oxygen OS for a second, you've got Android 10, no Android 11. Now, considering that that's pretty much stock Android, not having Android 11, which means OnePlus doesn't care about updating this phone whatsoever. It's not that you don't have the features, but it's that everybody else moved to Android 11 anyways, so that's kind of the last phone with Android 10. Is just not a good feeling, guys. Now, one particularly interesting feature of this Oxygen OS is the live caption. I'm not sure how many generations already have it, but the idea is you see a video, you activate live caption, and it's going to generate English subtitles for it. The idea is brilliant, but unfortunately it's absolutely terrible in practice. You can see a quick example over here. Very poor job, guys. I recommend switching this feature off. And lastly, let's talk about the cameras, shall we? So about the cameras, I've got 1 good news and 3 bad news over here, and the 3 bad news unfortunately are on the back of this phone, guys. So the first camera is 2 megapixel depth sensor. Absolutely useless camera. They should exclude cameras like that. The other disappointment is 2 megapixel macro, which doesn't get close enough to your subject, so you're better off using zoom on the main camera. You get way better results. It's not that they're good, but they're better than the 2 megapixel macro. And lastly, our 13 megapixel OmniVision 13B10 camera over here, the same as some cheap Xiaomi phones, and the results are pretty disappointing, guys. Even day photos are noisy with this camera. There is totally no stabilization whatsoever in any of the video modes. And the other thing is that the autofocus is fast. That's pretty much the only positive about this camera, but it's been a while since I actually had a phone which takes bad photos during the day, and let alone inside, I mean indoors. If you're taking shoots indoors or nighttime, just forget about it, guys. And the good news is actually from the front. I didn't expect that, because we've got an 8 megapixel camera over here, OmniVision 8856 sensor, which is the same as the Lego Kids Mix that I reviewed, well, a few years ago, and I was like, man, did they really put a few years old sensor over here? but man, the photos are quite good. I can easily go and say that that's one of the best 8 megapixels front-facing camera over here. Of course, it's a little bit over sharpened, but that's what you want from a low megapixel count on the front camera. Look at those examples and let me know what do you think, guys. These are Instagram ready photos out of the box. I'm really pleasantly surprised. Of course, again, there is no stabilization over here. So, time to conclude this video, guys. I used to have a dedicated section about the Volokin Spectrum scoring system, but now I'm just gonna skip that and show you the results. That's how the phone fares against, other phones. Over here you can see how far away in this scoring system this phone is, simply because it's just not a good phone, guys. I think the starting price was about 170, 180 pounds, something like that. It dropped to 150, now it dropped to 120, and very soon, I guess before the end of production, is going to drop to 100 pounds. Which, when you think about it, 100 pounds for a phone which can last 10 hours of screen on time, that's actually pretty good. But again, that's a phone for your dad, because the performance is not good, the camera is not good, there is no multitasking, and those three things pretty much make this phone unusable for a heavy user. And again, from a point of the OnePlus fanboy, you don't get the performance. So is this phone for you? Well, if you're old and the only thing you care about battery life, then yeah, but rather than that, I don't see why you should buy this phone, considering there is so many good phones for about the 120 pound mark. You can see some of the unboxings that I've done on my channel. There are many better phones out there. So I'm sorry, guys, to tell you the bad news, but you should skip OnePlus Nord N100 and show Oppo that they can't really get away with a mediocre phone like that. And lastly, if you managed to last that long into the video, let me know in the comment section below if you have this phone and what do you use it for. What are your needs? Does it fit your personal purposes? So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Adios.